Hello, everybody. My name is Jonathan Nindi, aka JAY, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Tech Talk, where we're keeping you updated. So, welcome to video number 3 out of 3 in the Metaverse series that I have been doing. And so, in the past videos, we talked about the Metaverse. We introduced you to the Metaverse. We took a deep dive on what you can expect in the Metaverse. And in this video, we're going to look at another angle or another side of the metaverse. And so, first of all, I'd like to encourage those who are new to the channel to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, like this video, share it, and so we can be making more videos to keep you updated. Welcome to Tech Talk. Okay, so in the frenzy of looking at what the metaverse is and how exciting it's gonna be, I also took some time to think about the other side of all this. I mean, it's great technology and all that, and it kind of feels surreal. It feels like the time man finally landed on the moon. It was like one giant leap for mankind. This is revolutionary stuff. And this is a big step in basically our existence. If I can say that. And maybe I can start by making reference to certain movies that I've been able to watch, over this for a while now, and things that seem to be coming to me now with the announcement of the metaverse. So, if you've watched The Matrix, basically a story about plugging into a virtual world and things like that, being the one, and things like that. And I look at movies like Johnny Depp, the movie done by Johnny Depp that's should be Transcendence, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, where this guy uploads his mind to the internet and is able to control things. I look at movies like Ready Player One, um, that was released not so long ago, directed by the great Spielberg. And yeah, and maybe many other out of this world extraterrestrial movies you've seen that involve virtual spaces and things like that. And you know at the time these movies were being thrown around and things like that, you'd probably just think, wow, Hollywood really has a very good vision. Like, these guys are out of this world. How do they do these things? How can they think about these things? These things can never happen. It's just fiction and entertainment. And so we thought it was just fiction and entertainment. But fast forward to 2021, boom, Mark Zuckerberg drops the bomb and says, well, that stuff you're seeing in the movies, yeah, we're making that a reality. And personally, at some point, watching these movies, I was thinking to myself, like, who comes up with this stuff? Like, who scripts this stuff? Like, this stuff is revolutionary, man. I mean, being able to do some of the stuff that they show you in those movies, you're like, wow, this is awesome. But on a serious note, I really questioned myself at some point watching these movies, like, guys, like, where do they come up with these ideas? Yes, the human mind is a very, very complicated sphere. And but the thing is, the human mind is also influenced by a lot of what it sees and what it takes in, and so at some point I was thinking to myself, this should be happening somewhere. Somebody just doesn't come up with a line in the script of this can do that and nanobots and whatnot. It means this stuff is actually there, and so it's actually led me to think about a few critical things. And this is what I'm calling the other side of the metaverse. You know, we've seen everything else and what it can do, what, you know, and things like that. But what about the other side of all this? Like, what's the end game? What's the point of all this? Like, what's really behind it? You know, yeah, it's a good leap in technology and whatnot, but I really don't feel like it's just that. You know, so let's look at three main points that maybe are sort of have been bothering me about this whole thing. You know, so maybe the first thing we can start with is data and data privacy. So, like I mentioned in the previous video, for you to be able to navigate the metaverse and to even go into the metaverse, you're going to have, you need to register, and basically they need to have your information. It's going to be like, you know, having to have an account on Facebook or any other social network. They need to have your details. I mean, even WhatsApp, they ask for your phone number. You know, there's some form of registration that has to happen, you know. And so it begs the question, how safe is our data going to be? You know, because the era that we're living in, data is the new gold. In case you don't know, in the digital era, apart from mining bitcoins, companies are mining data. Data has basically, I mean, data is like the new gold. That's what they're looking for, your information, what you're doing, what your interests are, and things like that. Because once they know that, then they can be able to advertise stuff. And the advertising industry is a billion trillion dollar industry, and it's only going to continue to grow. And so your data is going to be needed, but the question is, what are they doing with your data? And something that's related to your data is data privacy. So all along it's been that we are in control of our own data, and we get to decide like what happens to our data. Actually, the truth is, in certain parts of the world, you are actually in control of your data, and you get to decide what basically you have rights to what can be done to your data, especially areas like Europe. They're very strict with that, the US as well, and many other parts of the country. I think here in Africa it's not really a big deal. I mean, for us, as long as you give us the service, we really don't care what you do with the data. Yeah, that's an opinion. You are allowed to have an opinion. You can have reservations as well. But yeah, what I'm basically trying to point at is data is going to be very important in this thing, and they're going to be mining that. So, in essence, what it means is data privacy is going to go out the window because, well, they're going to need your information for them to be able to give you access to a lot of things in the metaverse. Yeah, so that's number one, data and data privacy. Yeah, that's the other thing. Because, you know, the thing is, these companies actually fight over data. You know, not so long ago, my iPhone was telling us, oh, they're going to stop tracking your information across many other apps. How do we really know that they're not doing that? And Facebook, not so long ago, was telling us, oh, now that we've bought WhatsApp, we're going to connect WhatsApp to your Facebook. But don't worry, we're not going to be snooping on you because these two brands are now under the same umbrella. No, we're going to keep them separate. And we believed them. Are they really keeping that data? Are they really keeping the two applications different? The fact that they're under the same umbrella, they share information already. And even though there was a backlash of people trying to jump to Signal, the new app that popped up, the truth of the matter is Facebook has over, I don't know how many billion people on their network now. And you know what's going to stop them from being able to share the data? Okay, I guess you can think about that. Point number two is basically digital fatigue. Now, we've had a pandemic for the last almost 3 years now, because COVID-19 started in 2019, hence the name COVID-19. Yeah, and along that period of time, what we've seen is um, we've had to basically digital transformation has had to happen at a more accelerated pace, because now before we were looking at probably 5 years for us to get to certain points, but now that's been fast forwarded to, I don't know, less than 2 years, or even 6 months, a year. I mean, even 6 months in certain areas. And so we've had to fast track the whole digital transformation thing. And what's that done is it's brought in the issues of having Zoom meetings and things like that, and we are having to, well, spend more time consuming digital content because of the fact that we're home. I mean, and that's also down to the fact that COVID is something that spreads easily amongst people. It's highly contagious, and so the only way to stop the virus from moving is to keep the human beings inside. So if we're not moving, the virus is not moving. I guess you put one and one together to understand what I'm talking about. And so, because we were told to stay home and not move around, we have really consumed a lot of digital content, as well as uh, seen the emergence of virtual conferences and virtual meetings, which also leads to digital fatigue, because that's not actually a word, I just made that up. Because what happens is you are consuming more than what is necessary in terms of digital content, and especially on the part of meetings. You're in one Zoom meeting, next thing you're 2 hours in another Zoom meeting, next thing you know you have another Skype meeting or a Teams meeting. And at the time COVID was at its peak, it became like routine. You were in and out of meetings. You're in this meeting, you're in that meeting. Yes, it's saving the company money. People are not going to the offices and things like that. But if you actually look at it another way, it's somehow tiresome, because that also means you are in front of your screen for a long time, which is also not advisable, because remember, too much of everything is also not advisable. So that's the other aspect, digital fatigue. And when you look at the emergence of the metaverse, so for you to basically have to enter this space, you're gonna have to have those goggles on and those things to be able to maneuver around. The question is, how long are you going to spend in the metaverse? The fact that they're going to bombard us with so many things for us to do begs the question, how long are we going to be spending having to be online, or being in that virtual space? And the longer you spend there, well, you're gonna get tired after some point. I mean, in the beginning it's going to be exciting, like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But then at some point, too much of everything also becomes a bad thing, and that's why I'm bringing up digital fatigue. It's going to be stressful somehow. I mean, keeping that thing on, it's going to strain your body. Obviously, it means certain you are keeping your eyes, I mean, exposed to a lot of light for a very long period of time, which also could bring in health risks. So digital fatigue, that's another thing to think about. And maybe last but not the least is, well, I guess all talk about this whole virtual reality thing. The other question we have to ask is, if we're talking so much about the digital world and the virtual reality world, and living in such an environment, in the end we're gonna lose sight of what reality really is. Like, you it's going to be very difficult um to still live the way we have been all this other time, because um bringing in the aspect of virtual reality sort of takes reality away, because it's like you're doing away with one thing and you're putting on another thing, and my thoughts on that also are that, are we going to really, in the end, we're just gonna lose sight of what reality is. jumping into a virtual space, it's like the way it is when you go on the internet. The internet is virtual. You can't touch it, but then, especially in our generation, we spend a lot of time on our phones. I'm guilty. We spend a lot of time on our phones, and basically what we're doing is we're entering into a virtual space. And what that does is it sort of kills the social interaction, the normal social human interaction that's always been there. I mean, if you want to talk to somebody, you call them up. Back in the old days, you call them up, you face them, you talk to them, you laugh, and things like that. But now it's different. You want to talk to somebody, shoot them a text, shoot them a WhatsApp, and we can video call them. I guess video call is the closest we've gotten to, some form of human physical, interaction. But then the digital space sort of takes away what we've always defined as social interaction, and I'm afraid the metaverse is also just going to take that away also, because you're talking about call your friends up. How are you calling your friends up in a virtual space? So they're not there. They're there in the virtual space, but they're really not there in the physical space. And maybe, I know I said that was last but not the least, but maybe we can look at this last critical thing to say, connected to what I just spoke about before, to say that, we're going to lose sight of reality. Then that also brings in the aspect of our mental health, because the fact that our social human interaction is evolving with technology, we're gonna have, the way things are going, we're gonna have a lot of serious mental health problems, because it's one thing to put people in a virtual space and tell them, oh, you can still be happy and interact with people. It's really another to actually have, that one-on-one interaction that you experience when somebody is actually physically next to you. How do you share sorrowful experiences in the metaverse? How do you share how you're feeling, how you're really feeling in the metaverse? I feel like there are really a lot of things that will be taken away with this emergence of the metaverse. And like I said in the introduction, yeah, it's trust me, in terms of technology wise and revolutionizing like what the tech industry has been able to do, and with advancements and things like that, it's all good, like kudos, man. But then how far is too far, ladies and gentlemen? I've read articles about Elon Musk talking about possibility of putting chips in people and things like that. That's just downright creepy if you ask me. But the metaverse is not so far away from that as well. It's not like we're putting chips in you, we're just giving you goggles for you to go and dive into something else. So yeah, those are basically my thoughts on the other side of all this. It's all dandy and all in terms of technology advancement, but as human beings, I really feel like it's not really going to be a good thing, if you ask me. Yeah, maybe in moderation, I would say it would be a good thing, but then even phones started out that way. When they evolved to smartphones, they weren't exactly taken out into moderation now, even up to now. So anyway, those are my 2 cents on the other side of the metaverse. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been part 3 of the Metaverse series. Thank you so much for riding with me. I hope you've been educated. You know a bit of what the Metaverse is, what to expect, and you have now been updated on this latest trend in the tech industry. These are things that are going to affect us one way or the other, so it's best you know. That's why we're here, to keep you updated. That's why you need to subscribe to this channel, smash that like button, tell YouTube Jonathan's making some good videos. Share this video with other people so they can be informed as well. I am so grateful for you who's been able to stay put to the last episode. Thank you so much for the love and the support. And hey, we're still making more videos, so you can look forward to that. So this has been part 3 of the Metaverse. You can go scroll up to look at the other videos that I did. And yeah, like I said, we're still making videos, so we can keep you updated. My name is Jonathan Nindi, aka JAY. I have been your host, and yeah, see you next time.